All right, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to use my cold calling tracking sheet. It is super easy to use. It is not complex. I know there's a bunch of colors, but I'm going to explain to you guys kind of the color code that I use. I like to use these colors because it allows me to quickly identify what happened with that lead. So without wasting too much time, let's get straight to the point. As you can see here, I marked down a couple of columns. These columns are information that I feel like are the most necessary when you're doing your prospecting, your cold calling. So we have the company name, the phone number of the company, the name of the person you're trying to reach, if you have it, their position in the company, the email address of that person or the company, any additional notes that you might have with the cold call, the results, and afterwards, the action that needs to be taken. All right, you don't necessarily have to fill out every single column for every single cold call that you do. But let's say you had a cold call with someone, they ask you to call back and you just want to fill out the entire information because they told you, can you call back John tomorrow at 11 o'clock? If they tell you something like that, then I would go a name and I would write John. And then I would put down any additional information that I have. All right, so when you're doing your cold calling back to back, don't fill out every single column. It's a waste of time. Only save this information for people who you want to call back, or they showed some kind of interest and they ask you to do a specific action, whether it be send an email, call back, or whatever it might be. So that's what I would do. So I read plumbing, the name of the company, the phone number. Okay, those are the basic things that need to be written down for your cold calling list. Once you have those, you can start cold calling. Now, what I like to do is use this. So as you can see here in blue, we have all of the dates of the month. And as you can see here, I added every single month of the year. So when you go in March, everything is updated for March. So we're going to stick to this month. As you can see, nothing too complex. So what I'll do is, let's say I phone this company. So Plumbing 101. I call them, I pitch them, they tell me, I'm not interested, I don't want your service. Perfect. On the date that I made that cold call, so in this example, let's use the first. Let's say the person said, I'm not interested, I don't want your service, get away from me, whatever. I would mark it down in red. Okay, for me, red is NI. NI stands for not interested. Okay, not interested. Very simple. So I would just put it red. You don't have to write NI. I just wrote it for you guys so you can quickly understand what it means, but that's what I do. Afterwards, I have another one, which is yellow. Okay, yellow for me is when I first made that cold call, so the initial contact with the prospect. And in this example, let's say I made the cold call on the first. So that's when I made the initial contact. And the person on the phone told me, can you call back on the 4th? Okay, which would be this column. When they say that, I will mark it down right here. So I like to make it purple. Okay, so that I can quickly visualize, all right, on the 4th, everything that's purple are businesses that I have to call back. And obviously, again, you don't have to write call back. And let's say on the 4th, I called back and they did book a meeting with my sales closer or with myself. I will mark down the day of the meeting. So in this case, we had initial contact on the 1st. So that's when I made the first cold call. They told me call back on the 4th. So on the 4th, I mark it down in purple. And then on the 4th, they told me, perfect, I would be interested to hop on a discovery call. Let's do it on the 7th, right here. So this is where I would mark a green box. Green meaning we have a meeting booked for that date. Very simple to use. You don't have to put colors. You can put the words if you want, but for me, colors, they allow me to quickly identify, all right, these ones were not interested, these ones I have to call back, and these are my meetings. All right, very simple. And obviously you would do that for every single business that you call. And here, results, I like to kind of have a summary of what happened. All right, because once you go like pretty far down, you won't see it in your screen. So I like to have everything on the same screen where I can quickly identify what happened with that lead. So I will basically put the results of what happened in this column. So here, not interested, I will put it red. Here, we finished at a meeting, so I'll put it green. But let's say I was here. They told me call back on the 4th. I put a callback, I would make it purple. All right. And on the 4th, when they told me, yeah, I have a meeting, or on the 7th, sorry, when they say that on the 7th, let's book a meeting, then I would change this color from pink and I would put it green. Very simple. Now, what happens if you cold call and someone doesn't pick up the phone? No one is at the phone. I would just mark it as yellow, right? Initial contact. Afterwards, the following day, I will call back those initial contacts. So everything that's yellow here, I know, all right, they didn't pick up yesterday. Let's call back today. If for a second time they don't pick up, I will mark it yellow again. So let's actually do it. So here I called, let's say on the 1st, no one picked up. Yeah, no one picked up. So here I would mark it yellow. Very simple. The following day, I know that these yellows are people who didn't pick up the phone. So the following day, I'll find the yellows and I'll be like, okay, I have to call back again. So I put yellow again, which means I made a second initial contact. Now, if they didn't answer again, I like to put second here to say that I called back twice. For me personally, I limit myself to 3 callbacks. If after 3 times they still don't pick up the phone, I will mark it as not interested and move on to the next business. Fairly simple. So yeah, that is a quick summary of how to use the cold calling tracking sheet. As you guys can see, it is not complex. Feel free to play around with the colors, change it a bit if you don't like how I made it. And as I mentioned previously, I marked down every single month for this year, so you guys don't have to do anything. And yeah, and to use this Google tracking sheet, make sure to make a copy of this sheet. All right, so you'll go right here in File, make a copy, you click on it, and it's going to allow you to basically duplicate the sheet and you can modify it as much as you want.